has mercy on them, receive them in eternal bliss, and continues guiding their families and giving them strength to cope in their absence. Having said that, and having listened to the debate that has gone on this afternoon, I don't have much to add on what happened in Addis. What happened in Addis happened. Many people have speculated why it happened without producing any concrete evidence, but we take it as that. The fact is that we did not get the seat through the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, but we rallied behind the flag, as it's required of anybody to be patriotic. We rallied behind the flag, and so it went. But behind being patriotic is also being accountable. We have had it said on this floor that the Right Honorable former Prime Minister visited 51 countries. It would be, and also we saw a motley crowd of Kenyans, a mixture of all manner of characters in Addis Ababa during the voting. Some even engaging in shamanical expressions of anticipations of victory. I would pray that in the interest of accountability and transparency, this House be informed how much money was spent on the campaign. Was it private money? Was it public money? And if it was public money, who authorized it? Was it in the budget of Parliament? Or was it in some mischievous arrangements between the Treasury and elements in the executive? Because it is this kind of escapades where there's no accountability that are used to steal money from Kenyans. So my interest is that the campaigns are over. We rallied behind the flag, but let us be informed how much money was taken out of the Treasury, if at all, and what procedure was used to authorize that. Because I've checked the Appropriation Acts of Parliament, I've not found any provision for that campaign. And so I would want to know how much was spent on that campaign, and if Parliament was not involved, who authorized the Treasury to spend that money, if the money came from the public? The other issue that I would like to speak to, yes, please inform me.
Would you like to be informed by Senator Eddy?
If it's credible.
Proceed, Senator Eddy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think that the issue that the Senator of Busia is raising is a patent issue, and he has raised a dichotomous issue. One is the issue of the campaign, and the other is the issue of those who went to Addis Ababa. It will be remiss of me not to speak on one that does affect me directly, because I did travel to Addis Ababa, and I did interact with the people who traveled to Addis Ababa to be able to give support to our own. I want to inform the Senator of Busia on the issue of those who traveled. Majority of whom I interacted with, and I also traveled to give Raila Amolo Odinga support. We self-sponsored to go to Addis. And if you need the evidence to that effect, I am willing to table as many as possible of those people who believed that indeed supporting our own, just like we'll go to a rugby sevens in South Africa, or you will go to watch our sister Kipyegon run in a marathon, or you will go to watch Kipchoge in Olympic, some of us were patriotic enough to believe that this matter was very important for the country, that we self-sponsored ourselves to get to Addis Ababa. That is an important information that I think that patriots like yourself should understand, that patriots like us did take that chance and did take that hint to be able to go and support Baba Raila Amolo Odinga in Ethiopia. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Eddy. You can proceed, Senator Okie.
Thanks for the unverified information. I would love to see you table that you have promised to table, to demonstrate to this House that people self-sponsored. In the absence of that, you hold your horses and forever keep quiet. Moving on,
Senator Okia, the Honorable Senator actually offered before being prompted that he could table the evidence. So it shouldn't be an area of contention. He can bring that evidence and table.
It's not an area of contention, but it's an attempt to sugarcoat a tablet. And that sugarcoating the one I'm guarding against.
Which you would conclude after he tables and you find it's sugar-coated. That's the only time you
he needs to produce
have rendered a fair judgment on the issue.
As well as Soyinka tells us that
Senator Eddy, you will be allowed to table that evidence that you paid your own ticket and you paid your own. Okay.
Thank you, my
Proceed.
brother. Having said that, many issues aside, a lot has been said about foreign policy. Where I stand, foreign policy basically means how attractive are you to others, or how threatening are you to others. If you have no nuclear weapons, you cannot be threatening in the modern world. So you must have something attractive. Therefore, to be attractive, it means that your domestic policy, your domestics are okay. So, for me, I think the problem we have is, in framing what you call a foreign policy, is on the domestic front. You cannot have a foreign policy worth talking of if the rule of law is disregarded. People who have got a different opinion are abducted. Foreigners who seek refuge here are kidnapped and repatriated, extradited, or whatever the word is, to their countries without due process. All those things, when you can't pay your schools, your universities, your hospitals, everything is in a mess. Your debts are unserviceable. You can't talk of a foreign policy when the home front is on fire. You can only talk of a foreign policy when and if the home front is proper. And so when you talk of the home front, we have got this thing of governance by merchant values. Some may call it deal making, but it's almost what you talk of the merchants of Venice in the plays of Shakespeare. Here we are, that today in Nairobi, we have the Janjaweed being allowed to open an office. This is a genocidal organ that tried to eliminate black people, and it killed millions of black people. It was not even religious, because the people in Darfur are largely Muslim, profess the Muslim faith, but they were killed because they were not Arabs by this group. It's a record, it's a matter of public notoriety, that the Janjaweed, which has now been given an office in Nairobi to operate from, has a history of trying to eliminate black people. What do we stand for as a country? Who has benefited from that process? Where is the due process leading to that particular decision? Article 10 of the Constitution is very clear. And it's very clear by stating that policy decisions, and that targets the executive, must be subjected to public participation. At the very least, a paper should have been tabled in Parliament on the issue of Kenya wishing to go to bed with the Janjaweed. Then we could debate it. Also surprising is that this thing has happened so soon after the Addis Ababa debacle. I call it a debacle because looking at the evidence, such things don't happen overnight. There must have been negotiations and must have been interactions between this group and the regime running the Republic of Kenya. So, there must have been intelligence that Kenya cannot produce a chair of the AU who can be a neutral arbiter because the government is in bed with factions that are responsible for undermining the rule of law and issues of governance on the continent. So I'm sure people knew. And we know some time back, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto was proposed to be chair the negotiations over the Sudan. And we remember the government in Khartoum stating in very clear terms that it could not allow it because they perceived him to be biased. A few years later, you can see that their fears were not idle. Their fears have been proven by the presence of the Janjaweed here. We have seen matters happening in this country where even a group pronounced its opposition to the government of the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Nairobi. So, what is Pan-African about that? When you look at the genocidal wars in the Congo, what's Pan-African about the Janjaweed being here? When you look at the genocide in Darfur, in the Sudan. Madam Speaker, I think we need to take a good look at ourselves as Kenyans in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is going on? I'm almost being persuaded that we are getting to a point whereby the Republic might need to invoke Article 144 of the Constitution. For those who care to do, you can check out what Article 144 of the Constitution provides. Because some things that are happening defy logic, defy any attempt at understanding them, and can only happen outside the sphere of a well-constructed syllogism. Madam Speaker, it's a very, very heavy heart that today I stand in this august house as a powerless legislator, a house that has totally failed to have any impact on the executive, a house that has got absolutely nothing to write home about its achievements. Absolutely nothing. Even if you gave them the back of a postage stamp and a felt pen, they would not feel it with any achievement you have had in terms of checking the executive. We have not, and we don't understand the insignia on our own desks here. Deputy Minority Whip, Minority Whip, Minority Whip, and a Majority Leader, whatever, which is a clear statement that this House is not an extension of the executive. We'd be having a government side and an opposition side if the executive was given from this House. The executive in this country was directly elected by the people to be accountable to this House. The structure of the Constitution is such that the president must be lobbying and begging this House to allow him to do what he wants to do as a check. If it's appointments, they come to Parliament for clearance, be it in the National Assembly or here. If it's a budget, it comes to Parliament for approval. But things have been turned on their head. And today, it's MPs kneeling before the president instead of the other way around. So I'm totally ashamed and embarrassed that I belong to a parliament that is totally incapacitated for reasons that I don't know. Everything has been turned on its head. And as a result, the executive behaves like it's a law upon itself. That's why the Janjaweed can be given an office in Nairobi at the whims of an individual and claim that the people of Kenya have welcomed the Janjaweed to come and run their genocidal government from Nairobi. It's extremely sad. Madam Speaker, I plead with my fellow members of Parliament in the Senate and in the National Assembly, senators and assemblymen and women.
Senator Osotsi, you have an intervention? Have you pressed for intervention?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt Senator Omtatah, but I think it's important for us to be told more about this Janjaweed, because my little knowledge about Janjaweed is that it's a terrorist group that operates in the Sahel region, Sudan, Chad, and Yemen. And Senator Omtatah, whom I respect a lot, and I know he has a lot of information, he has said that they have opened an office in Kenya. So I think this is a serious matter that even me as a representative of the people, I would like to know more about that. Have these people opened an office in Kenya, and what action can we take as a representative of the people? Because this Janjaweed, which translates to devils on a horseback, that is what it means in English, is a destructive group, is a terrorist group, which was even defined as a terrorist group by the United Nations. So if indeed they are in Kenya, and I don't want to doubt what Senator Omtatah is saying, because he has always proven that whatever he says, he has researched very well. So I think I need to know more about that, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senator Omtatah, you know, under the Standing Order 105, you have a responsibility for a statement, issuing statement of fact for everything you allege while you are debating. You can proceed to give information that supports what you have alleged.
Incidentally, Senator Osotsi, thank you for asking me to do the obvious. I always carry my laptop, and I've just clicked in the word search under warring factions in the Sudan. And what has come up, Sudanese, under the heading Sudanese Civil War 2023 to present on Wikipedia, that is HTTP.
Honorable Senator, are you presenting social media facts,
Not a social
What
media
is
fact.
it you
This
are
is
presenting
an internet resource. It's a Wikipedia, an internet resource. Yes, it's an authority, and I've referred to it. So the two opponent factions consist of the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, under Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, and its allies, collectively the Janjaweed coalition, under the Janjaweed under Hemedit.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddy? Senator Boni, give Senator Eddy time to raise his point of order.
Madam Speaker, responsibility of fact 105. If you read that entire standing, Madam Speaker, there is a standard of proving facts in this House. A Parliament of Kenya, the Senate of Kenya, want to depend on Wikipedia as a source that can be tabled in the House to prove fact, Madam Speaker. What are we doing? Who is the author of Wikipedia? Wikipedia is a source that anybody, just like social media, can go and post anything on Wikipedia. Are we going to depend on Wikipedia sources in this House, Senator Boni Aluale, the majority whip? Is this where the House of Representatives has reached, to depend on Wikipedia sources in the House? I think that the spirit of standing order number 105 is such that when there is any issue of fact that is raised in this House, then an honorable senator must then produce a reliable source that is available to all senators, but not social media facts and figures and Wikipedia sources that, Madam Speaker, have got voices from all over that you cannot be able to point to one person. So I request the honorable senator that, yes, there is a very serious issue that is bringing to the House, but let his source be credible, and let his source be something that we can all believe in and appreciate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Okia.
I urge my brother, Senator from Migori, to dismount from his emaciated and starving high horse and understand that Wikipedia always has links to sources where the information comes from. But that as it may be, I would also like to bring in another authority. I was still producing authorities.
Okay, Senator Okia, it's your responsibility to give verified information whose authors may be known or the source is credible. So yes, I will now request you or guide you to give the author of the information you're giving or the source that you are giving from that Wikipedia.
Well, I'm here. I've left the Wikipedia alone. I'm here at https://www.cfr.org/global-conflict-struggle-Sudan. By its heading of the document is called Civil War in the Sudan, by the Center for Preventive Action, a highly recognized body.
Senator Okia, I appreciate what you're reading, but you're the only one in this House right now who has access to what you're reading.
My lady,
I am not able to see the source.
We have got computerized systems here, and if people are not able to use them, I cannot be responsible.
I'm guiding you, sir.
I cannot be responsible for the ignorance of members.
Senator Okia, I'm giving you a guide.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
I want you to table that evidence in the normal procedural manner, which evidence is tabled in this House or statement of facts are verified in this House, if you're able to table it within the next short while, it's okay, table it. I can also have a look at it. And you can also table it.
My lady, yes.
I'm guiding you to make it easier because this is an important question. It's a serious question that cannot be trivialized. You're talking about Janjaweed. It's been named as a terrorist group. Can you table that evidence in the normal fashion so that senators can also get a copy of it? You can print it and table it. Senator Boni, would you like to be informed by Senator Boni?
Yes, all of them can inform me.
Yes, Madam Speaker, indeed, this is a very important issue. And we should not muscle the Senator of Busia without paying attention to what he's saying. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia which is referred to in Hawaiian language. In Hawaiian language, Madam Speaker, encyclopedia is referred to quick, fast speed. So to challenge its authenticity is to pretend that an encyclopedia is not an authoritative document. Secondly, Madam Speaker, Janjaweed is equally defined as a terrorist group in Sahel region, unless the senator of Migori is an ignorant man, and I know he is not. If you are uncomfortable with the truthfulness of Senator Omtatah, then say it. Because he is not the first to mention the word Janjaweed in this country. It is in public domain. And in parliamentary palace, Madam Speaker, as I informed His Excellency Okia, matters that are in public domain are admissible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Beyond the point, Senator Boni, beyond the point of information on the encyclopedia, I think the question was whether Janjaweed is set in Kenya, is located in Kenya. It's not denying if that was what Senator Eddie raised, whether Janjaweed is having official location in Kenya. Is your point? Would you like to be informed by Senator from Nandi? Okay. Senator Cherarige.
Madam Speaker, on a point of information, I want to inform that the issue of Janjaweed, Madam Speaker, started in 2003, and by 2013, the Janjaweed created an offshoot called Rapid Support Forces, RSF. So when you refer to RSF and Janjaweed, they are of same family but different species if you did biology. So people who did biology and brilliant like us who went to Capside Boys High School, who has produced two presidents, Moi and Ruto, then you are able to understand. So I think the issue should be, if RSF is in Nairobi, is it the same as Janjaweed is in Nairobi? That can be left to the jury to decide. I thank you.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddie? Is it on the same issue?
No, Madam Speaker, you know, when there is aspersions thrown to a member, it becomes a very important issue. And that is 101. I think the entire 101 applies to what the Senator of Kakamega has just thrown as aspersions on my character. Because, no, I haven't even said what I'm saying. Why are you guilty? Before I say what I want to say.
Under which standing order have you
101. 101, Madam Speaker, talks about throwing aspersions on members. It talks also about what can be considered abusive or insulting language. Madam Speaker, if you read 1013, you will find what the standing orders guides on this. Madam Speaker, there is what we call syntax in the language with which the Senator of Kakamega has implied that I'm ignorant on these issues. And the word ignorant, Madam Speaker, I find it insulting. That is one. Number two, Madam Speaker, he has also implied that I am not comfortable with the truth that the Senator of Busia wanted to bring in the House and still bring in the House. Madam Speaker, I beg to make it clear that the Senator of Busia intimated that Janjaweed is based in Kenya, for which he went ahead to seek the source of Wikipedia to prove that. And all I wanted to know, because it's a very important issue of national security interest in our country, and we cannot let it go. All I want to know is that, is there a source that we can depend on that shows that Janjaweed is based in Kenya? Because if it is based in Kenya, we must take serious security matter on this. We cannot just let it pass. A senator cannot say that Janjaweed is based in Kenya and let it pass as a simple issue. So, Senator Boni, I hope that you get where I was coming from. I am not in any way refusing that Janjaweed has been a terrorist group that has terrorized the people of Sudan. That is true. That's factual, and that is in the public domain. But is it true that they're based in Kenya now? If that is true, we must deal with it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Eddie, while you may be in order to raise a point of order, first, your first point was overtaken because Senator Boni was not on his feet when you raised that issue. So ideally, you should raise it. So that is overtaken, but I think you have done a good clarification on what you needed to know from the honorable senators as to whether Janjaweed has an office in Kenya. So Senator Okia, proceed to answer that question directly.
My time be expanded because...
Give him back his minutes that have been consumed by the points.
First of all, Senator Eddie is trying to take credit for what he didn't do. It is Senator Osoti who wanted to know that clarification. Senator Eddie only contested the source I gave. So Senator Eddie cannot stand here and begin thumping his chest as a knowledgeable man who wanted to distinguish. You only challenged Wikipedia. You didn't understand what Wikipedia was, and Honorable Khalwala has helped you to understand what Wikipedia is, including telling you about its Hawaiian origins. Now, my lady, in terms of taking him to standing orders, I don't think that we are still in the age of brick and mortar as security. Today, we don't look for real wealth on the ground. We look for it in space. We have got these screens here. Are they decorations? We have got these iPads here that every senator has. Are they decorations? When I give a URL, a universal resource locator, for a document on the internet, I expect this House to have the capacity to access the document and not to be told that I should bring in paper which results in the destruction of trees. I'm bringing no paper into this House. I'm digital, I'm futuristic. My eyes are on the stars, not on the ground. Yes. In the age when the AI is coming in and we see talking of paper, brick and mortar, no way. I challenge the House to log into the URL I've given and display the information on the screens in this parliament. Now, here and now. And the individual senators who cannot use their gadgets should ask for a refresher course to be taken for induction so that they can access the internet using the gadgets in this office. The taxpayers do not enable us in vain. They don't enable us in vain. So when I carry my document, my gadgets here, and I talk as a modern man in the 21st century, I am addressing modern people in the 21st century. None of the information I give is meant for Stone Age people. And if you belong to the Stone Age, you don't belong to where I belong. Are we together there? So, I want the matter to be settled there, Madam Speaker. I'm not presenting any papers here. I'm not printing any documents. I've given the URL. It's the duty of this House, an individual member, to access the information in the universal resource locator I've given. Madam Speaker, Senator, I sit. Thank you for the time.
Senator Okia, you still have a responsibility to indicate your source, whether Janjaweed is in Kenya or not in Kenya. He has to answer that question. Senator Okia, don't avoid by the use of IT and paper and manual paper. Present that, please.
The problem of trying to fit a jet engine on a Volkswagen is what I'm dealing with. Yes, my information from, I would like to be informed, Madam Speaker, by the
Senator, I have first directed you what to do, to give the evidence and
but
to
you have
guide
refused.
whether Janjaweed is.
Can you display the document I've referred to on the screen, then I'll point to it and walk people through it? Oh, that's what I'm requesting. Yes. I've given a universal resource locator for the information I've given in this House. Can you access the document?
Clerk, are you able to display that? Just hold. Wait a bit. Wait. Are you able to display that right away? Senator Okia, I direct you to go to the technical team, table the URL you quoted, the source of that website, and then it will be dealt with. It is your responsibility once again. It is not the responsibility of the clerk to table for you. You table the evidence with the clerk. Give the information. Give the details of what you need displayed.
Madam Speaker,
it is not at the table.
Your authority is limited to the confines of this building during debate. You cannot give me instructions.
But the clerk is here. Can you table it now, Senator Okia? I have directed you.
I can read it out.
Write it down for them. I have given you the guide.
They are skilled in writing.
I have given you the guide. Senator Okia, you are bordering on being disorderly now because you are disobeying the chair.
Okay, Madam Speaker,
order.
If that's the attitude you are taking, I sit down, I cease my contribution until I get to a forum where I can be understood. Thank you.
Address. You are out of order, Senator Okia Omtatah. Senator Eddie.
He is. Because
proceedings cannot go on like that.
Madam Speaker, 105, the responsibility of statement of fact. Madam Speaker, I think you are letting... Madam Speaker, may I be protected from Senator Okia Omtatah? Madam Speaker, I want Senator Okia Omtatah to understand from point of order number 105 that nobody is disputing the importance of the issue that is raising. In fact, that issue is so important to all of us. It's very important to the country. But Senator Okia cannot say something that he cannot substantiate and run away from it. I think that is disorderly, Madam Speaker, because the source online, and nobody was requesting for a paper source, even the sources online are not all credible. Madam Speaker, that's the argument I've been making here. That if you say you've got a source online, it's not about whether people cannot be able to access online sources. It's about can you rule, Madam Speaker, on what is the threshold of credible sources that must be given in this House, whether paperwhite or online? Because if the Rocky is going to run away from giving us sources because he knows that the source online is not credible, that's not fair to this House, Madam Speaker. And I think that we expect a ruling on that, because I would want to know, as a citizen of Migori, if Janjaweed is in this country and have an office in this country, then I must know how I protect my people in Migori County. Then I must know I participate in this House to make sure that our security is guaranteed, Madam Speaker. It cannot be said as a passing statement, as a political statement, and let to go like that, Madam Speaker. I request for your ruling on the credibility of sources, Madam Speaker, under 105, and number 2, whether Senator Omtatah is obliged to be able to provide that source online or in paper for us to follow. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
To who? Who are you informing? You cannot inform the Speaker. Before I rule on the point of order by Senator Eddy, I'll give Senator Kinyua an opportunity to raise his point of order. His point of clarification.
Madam Speaker, I was just concerned because Senator Omtatah is indicating the site or the source of his information. Why was it difficult because for him, whether the source is correct or not correct, it is up to the table and the Senate to rule on that matter. And he had given the site. Why were we getting concerned? We would have checked on it. If it is incorrect, he was supposed to have been told on the spot that the site is not admissible in the Senate.
Senator Kinyua, it is not in order for senators to conduct business in an unusual, difficult manner for the Secretariat or for the clerks. I actually directed and ruled that he proceeds to give the details of the website to the clerk's desk. That's his responsibility, under Standing Order 105. He did not comply with that ruling. In fact, he defied and walked out, which is out of order. Can you wait? I finish. Can you wait for the chair to finish dispensing on that issue? So he did not wait. He defied the ruling and walked out without giving the details. My ruling is abiding on the point of order raised by Senator Eddy, and I'll give a direction on the matter. What is it, Senator Osotsi? You speak after Senator.
It's just a clarification on 105. I think this is a house of debate. And in this house, the Constitution requires that we have freedom of speech. Madam Speaker, and I wish you give me just a minute to explain what I'm about to raise. The point of order 105, I have sat in this house for 2 years and several months, and I'm realizing that 105 standing order must be used to promote debate in this house. Madam Speaker, I think there is no crime in what Senator Omtatah has said. We should be able to table evidence electronically. I am an IT expert and I know what it means. Madam Speaker, as I sit here, I raise a matter in this house about Moi University. And I was told to substantiate, which I did electronically, and I presented a document. Up to now, Madam Speaker, I have not heard from the chair about the status of my substantiation. To date, you remember it was last year before we went for break. I am still waiting for the House to tell me the status of my substantiation. So every time members raise issues and members on the opposing side quote 105, and that's how we kill debate in this house. Senator Omtatah has raised a very important issue. And I rose on a point of order to request that he be given time to explain the presence of Janjaweed in this country. And I believe he was doing so. But we did not give him time to exhaust his explanation. And electronic evidence is there in law, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, let us not allow 105 to be misused to curtail debate in this House.
Senator,
and for that matter, Madam Speaker, I am demanding communication on the matter of Moi University, which are substantiated in this House. And your chair has not communicated to this House on the validity of that information, Madam Speaker.
Senator Okia, the substantiation on the Moi University is an issue that can be handled and will be handled by the chair. It will be communicated, and I guide the clerk to ensure that an opportunity is offered for that evidence to be reviewed and a ruling to be made. But let me say this. Senator Okia was not denied an opportunity to actually present the online evidence. Soft evidence was acceptable. He was only verifying the website so that the clerks can open that evidence. So don't make it appear as though the House is not admitting electronic evidence. He was only supposed to walk here and present the address, and then senators have a right to follow what is being presented if it's online, or do they not have? Senator Methu.
Honorable Speaker, with tremendous respect to you as the chair, I think it would be a misrepresentation of facts, in my opinion, because the Hansard is actually here. For you to say that you directed Senator Omtatah to come to the clerks so that he can present the evidence that he was referring to. When Senator Omtatah was, actually, the last time he spoke here, he said that your powers are limited to these precincts of Parliament, because what I am made to understand and what Senator Omtatah understood, you directed him to the technical team. You never directed him to the table. You never directed him to the clerks. Just allow me to finish, Speaker.
Please don't.
Because that is what you say. It is on record.
On that.
I mean, these are records that can be extracted, and we had you ready. Please listen to the other people. No problem. You can raise and oppose whatever you want to oppose, but listen to people. We have been listening to you the whole evening. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, the honors of determining which evidence would be acceptable to this House is yours as the person who is presiding upon this House. So what was so difficult in you just opening that URL code that he was giving, and then you can even determine the matter on a later date? You have not determined the matter on Senator Osotsi and many other matters that senators have been asked to substantiate. You just take that website. I agree with Eddie, Senator Eddie. It may be an admissible website or not, but that is upon yourself to go and make that determination. But I actually feel, as you retire to give that communication, because you have said that you are giving that communication tomorrow, if indeed you give that communication with the thinking in your mind that you asked Senator Omtatah to come to the table, I actually feel it would be very unfair to Senator Omtatah.
Senator Methu, the Hansard will be reviewed because I directed him to walk to the clerk's desk, present to the technical team through the clerk's desk. I did direct that. I think that was clear. If it escaped you, it's there in the Hansard. Senator
You know, Madam Speaker, what has happened this afternoon is very important on how we will be conducting our business, especially those who are not analog, the likes of Omtatah, who have gone digital. And you know, Madam Speaker, we have a standing order 265 that is supposed to guide us. And you know, he has raised an important issue that he doesn't want to litter the floor with papers.
Senator Osotsi,
so Madam Speaker,
Senator Mugeni, I believe as you raised that issue.
Yeah, the point I wanted to make, because it is incumbent upon the chair maybe to give a considered ruling. Because the other day, you saw I was on the floor referring to a judgment and I was told table. What I did is I just took my phone and shared the document with Senator Cherage. So maybe going forward, what maybe could have happened for Senator Omtatah is to be told, share the document with this email to the clerk. And then that should be, then it is displayed. And we are here as PSC to assist this House in conducting business in a very flawless manner. In fact, Madam Speaker, if you read, I think standing under 265(4), it says that a senator can share, who intends to display a document, shall share the document with the clerk for purposes of display. So I believe the moment our clerks here have received that reference, they should be able to display it for us, because we want to make people who have gone digital to have an easy time on the floor of the House. We shouldn't inhibit those who are migrating to the digital way of doing business. We make it facilitative. We should not inhibit, Madam Speaker.
Senator Omugeni, we hear you. You can now resume your seat. Your point is made. The fact of the matter is that Senator Omugeni has been given a chance to clarify the address so that not Senator Omugeni, Senator Omtatah was given a chance to actually present the document. And if you read that standing order which you have quoted, it says the senator is entitled to share. That sharing is not the responsibility of the clerk to share. It is the senator to share to the clerk or to the table or to the House. Then it can be displayed for the use by every House. We do not want to open the wrong URL. And what Senator Omtatah did, he walked out without clarifying what website he needed to be opened. He did not do that clarification. I will now give a direction or a ruling on the point of order that was raised by Senator Eddy regarding the direction that had been sought on the information that is required on the Janjaweed. I will direct that Senator Omtatah, though he's not in the House, he will still be required to table that information to the House because it's important. He was guided by the Speaker, and that ruling still needs to be abided by. Short of that, then it will be a defiance of the direction from the Speaker's set to provide it so that senators can follow the proceeding and see whether Janjaweed Kenya or not. We can proceed on to the next.